Hello, this is TB81974, Pathfinders Detachment Leader. Today I am on the planet Kashyyyk and we are going to be talking about the Kashyyyk Trooper CRL. Now the Kashyyyk Trooper was the second CRL the Pathfinders Detachment ever got. Up until that point we were just Return of the Jedi Scouts, but in 2006, a year after Revenge of the Sith came out, we got the Kashyyyk CRL as our second one. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, so we thought now is a great time to break down these CRL requirements for you. But before we begin, I wanted to kind of talk about the state of the Kashyyyk Trooper CRL. It is in a state of revision. We realize that some of the choices and assumptions that have been made almost 20 years ago when the CRL was first written have turned out not to be true, with 4K video and other sources making things a little easier to see. We are aware that things need to change with the CRL. And throughout this video, I'm going to discuss some of those things. And hopefully sometime this year, we will get the CRL updated and more accurate, and also hopefully more accessible for people that want to be this trooper, because this one is tough. It's very complicated. But that all being said, let's get into it, starting with the helmet. Okay, the Kashyyyk Trooper helmet, and this is a model by Biker Chick, who is pretty much the most consistent maker of Kashyyyk armor at this point, though we are getting a few new ones. Requirements for the helmet. It has a camo pattern to simulate the on-screen troopers. It may be lightly weathered. Has a full set of black greeblies. We got 2 breathers, the 5-bar snout piece, and then the black bolts on the side. The visor has a reflective green lens. I know some of you like to put the green lens in the Scout. No, it goes here. There is a rectangular slot cut out right here at the top of the visor. The inside area of the visor is painted the same base color as the rest of the armor. The helmet decal matches the one seen on screen, so the Kashyyyk has his own little symbol just like the Scout Trooper. And then on the back, the rear trapezoids and the stripes, they can either be decals or they can be painted on. Obviously the Kashyyyk was a CGI trooper, so no actual painting or decaling happened in the movie. And for the level 2 requirements for the Kashyyyk Trooper, most of the armor requirements for level 2 are going to be the same. We have 3 colors that we recommend. Those are the Krylon Khaki Tan, a Panzer Olive Green, and a Flat Earth Brown. And obviously those are approximations. Again, this trooper was all CGI in the film. For level 2 weathering, we also require there be some black and white misting of the armor pieces, including the helmet. We also like to see paint scrapes along the edges, silver or chrome, but not excessive, not to exceed what's seen on screen in the film. And then for the rectangular slot on top, we ask that it's 2 1/4 inches long, a 1/2 inch wide. And that is it for the helmet. Next up on the CRL is the balaclava. It's a balaclava. You know what this is. Next up, the Undersuit. Now this one is the British DPM, so it meets the level 2 requirements. We understand these things are harder to get a hold of, but we're gonna help you get through this. So the Undersuit can either be a separate jacket and pants like this, or it can be a single jumpsuit. We ask that you do a dark camouflage pattern that matches what is seen on screen, so nothing that's like overly green. We also ask for no multicam or digital camo. There should be no visible pockets on the undersuit, except for the large leg pockets. They have a biased flap cut on the outside, and they are placed in the correct position. This is the correct position. Then, similar to the Biker Scout, there's a riding patch. This one is an oatmeal color, and it is suede. For level 2, we ask that you get a British DPM camo pattern on your undersuit, either by purchasing, or if you can somehow replicate this, that's cool too. And then this front pouch here should be 6 inches high, 4 inches wide, and 1.5 inches deep. Next up, the shoulder armor. Now the shoulder armor has a camo pattern very similar to the helmet. It has a tan base coat, and the camo patterns can be colored dark green and flat brown, and it may be lightly weathered. Now for level 2, we have those same recommended camo colors that we recommend for the helmet. So the Krylon khaki tan, the Panzer olive green, and the flat earth brown. And again, for level 2, we'd like to see the black and white misting, as well as some discrete silver or chrome scrapes. Upper arm armor or bicep armor, whatever you like. Paint pattern, pretty much the same. We're gonna want the same kind of camo pattern that you see on screen. So we're talking tan base coat with the green and brown, maybe lightly weathered. The right bicep has this greebly right here. The left bicep has this more complicated greebly, kind of wraps around the whole thing. And then for level 2, we want you to use those same recommended colors, the Krylon khaki tan, the Panzer olive green, and the flat earth brown. Then with the black and white misting, and the paint scrapes, silver or chrome. For level 2, we just asked that the greeblies are accurate. How hard is that? You can do that for level 1. Now, I just want to state here that the left bicep greebly has been a source of contention for years. The positioning of it has always never really been quite right. Does the big piece go here? Does it go on the side? Looking at the sources from the film as close as we can, and there aren't many, it seems to be kind of halfway between the front and the side. If you look in these pictures, you can see that the outer edge of the greebly seems to line up with where the cutaway is in the bicep. So going forward, you'll probably want to position your bicep greebly in that way. The elbow/forearm armor, very similar to the Scout Trooper. We have the same camo pattern as seen in the film. They strap on with these gray straps. Now these straps here are made out of silicone, and then they may be lightly weathered. For level 2, same thing. We want the Krylon tan, Panzer olive green, flat earth brown, black and white misting, silver or chrome scrapes. We don't have a material requirement for the gray straps because, again, this was a CGI trooper and they were made out of megabytes and kilobytes. They weren't made out of an actual material. Kashyyyk Trooper gloves. Again, very reminiscent of the Scout glove. They are in the gauntlet style, this big wrist covering. From the wrist to the fingers, it's black. The gauntlet section is brown. We have a gray portion that circles the wrist here, as well as gray portions here and here. There is also this greebly right here. This one is made out of silicone, but again, wasn't real in the movie. So for level 2, we just asked that this greebly is accurate and resembles what's on screen, and that the wrist strap has a very small buckle detail on the top. Now these gloves, the wrist greebly happens to be up a little bit higher than it is in the film. In Revenge of the Sith, the wrist greebly would be closer to being down here. We understand Kashyyyk gloves are hard to come by. We're not going to punish you too harshly if you were unable to get the glove with the greebly that's right here. And that's it for gloves. We are moving on to the chest armor, and the Kashyyyk chest armor, very similar style to the Scout Trooper. Again, we are asking for a camo pattern that resembles what's seen on screen. So that means a tan base coat with green and brown. Chest armor is connected to the back armor with these gray straps right here. These straps here are made out of foam. As long as they look the part, it's fine. And for level 2, the same paint requirements as the other pieces. We want the Krylon tan, the Panzer olive, and the flat earth brown. Black and white misting, and silver or chrome paint scrapes. On the side, the chest and the back should meet flush like this. There shouldn't be a gap. Now, a side note about the chest and back armor, we want it to be flush joined so that you don't really see a gap. There is a question of whether there is a clip there on the side. You can kind of see one in this one image, and it appears that the game model Kashyyyks have the clip. There's nowhere in the film where you can clearly make it out, so we're not going to require that you put some sort of clip on the side of your chest armor. Back armor. Oh, again, very similar to the Return of the Jedi Biker Scout. We have this big hump on the back. It's going to be painted with a similar camouflage scheme as the rest of the armor. So tan base with brown and green camo patterns. The top of the tank is flat and it has this black greebly. We also have this tank detail, also very similar to the Scout. Now, unlike the Scout Trooper, on the Kashyyyk Trooper, the tank and the back plate are all one piece. They are joined together and they are seamless. For level 2, paint requirements, basically the same: Krylon tan, Panzer green, and flat earth brown. Black and white misting, paint scrapes in chrome or silver. All right, now we're gonna get to the Cumber Bun. This is the most difficult part of the whole costume. Now, the Cumber Bun that we're working with in the video is not accurate. It is accurate to the way that the CRL was originally written, but as I said, upon reevaluating sources and looking very closely at images, we can see that the old way was not proper. The biggest issue, of course, being that the straps and the Cumber Bun base were different colors, which was giving it this kind of striped effect that you just don't see in the film. In the film, looking at the images, you can see that the straps and the base are the same color, especially when you look at this one image right here. Going forward with the CRL images, we are going to update them to have a single colored Cumber Bun with the straps and the base being the same color. And we'll move that from being just a level 2 requirement, which it is now, to being the base requirements. Also, we are going to eliminate the web strap requirement for the top straps. It's not really clear from the images whether they were supposed to be web straps or not. I think the assumption was made that the Kashyyyk Cumber Bun and pouch system was kind of based off the Mali military vest setup, and those do use web straps on them in places. Looking at the few images that we have, we can't make that determination. Again, the Kashyyyk is a CGI trooper. This stuff isn't real, and to say, well, this is this particular fabric, I think is going beyond what we can safely authorize. So with that being said, and knowing that we have a Cumber Bun that's not quite up to where we want it to be, let's just go ahead and get through these Cumber Bun requirements. Cumber Bun is a piece of cloth, wraps around, closes in the back with Velcro. Very similar to the Scout Trooper. Now, the Cumber Bun has these straps that run the length of it. The Cumber Bun also has this midsection belt that goes horizontally. In the front, the belt has these 2 black vertical straps. Level 2 details for the Cumber Bun. The Cumber Bun has brown camo patches on it, very similar to what's found on the pouches. As we said earlier, the base and the straps should be the same color. The 2 black straps in the front should have white stitching. And this midsection belt is 2 inches high and goes around the entire Cumber Bun. The Cumber Bun, in case you haven't noticed, is covered by 16 pouches. That's how you know this was a CGI costume, because nobody in real life would do this. But with a computer, sure, just give them 16 pouches. And we've got requirements for those. Now, the pouches all have different flap closures of various configurations. We have images of these up on the CRL. They are painted with a camo pattern. So the pouches are cloth covered. They have a tan base and then green and brown that generally matches the armor. We've got on the front 2 long pouches with 2 small ones over top. Then you have on the sides 8 smaller pouches. We've got these two long back pouches. Well, they'll be in the back once this thing is closed, here and here. And then finally, all the way in the back, and this will end up in the center once the thing is closed, we have these two wide pouches. A lot of pouches. The suggested pouch measurements are as shown. On the lower portion of the Cumber Bun, you will find another belt with these two trapezoidal pouches hanging from it, here and here. These trapezoidal pouches, like these, also are cloth covered, tan with green and brown, similar to the armor. The belt is gray, but it has black insets. For level 2, we ask that the buckle on the belt is a gunmetal gray. Also for level 2, we ask that these straps here are a 1/2 inch wide. These straps here are made out of leather, but again, since it wasn't an actual costume, we're not too picky about the material. It just has to look the way it does on screen. And finally, attached to the bottom of the Cumber Bun, it's like this one's attached by Velcro, we have the cod piece. Cod piece is a hard piece, unlike the cloth one on the Scout. It is tan with green and brown, similar to the rest of the armor. It may be lightly weathered, and we ask that it attaches to the back of the Cumber Bun. And moving on down, we have got the knee armor. And the knee armor, just like the rest of the armor, is painted with this camo pattern that reflects what we see on screen. It has these gray straps. Now these straps are made out of craft foam, but you know, whatever material looks close enough to what's on screen, so silicone would work too. For level 2, the paint requirements are pretty much the same for all the armor. We want the Krylon tan, the Panzer green, and the flat earth brown with these nice paint scrapes of silver or chrome, black, gray, and white misting. Then now for the lower leg armor. Again, armor with the tan base coat, green and brown, maybe lightly weathered. The shin armor pieces are seamless, so we don't see any joins anywhere. There are two khaki or tan straps going around it. On the straps there is a black buckle, and on the other side there is this smaller clip. Level 2, it's mostly paint requirements, same as the rest of the armor, so we're talking our Krylon tan. Panzer olive green and flat earth brown, black, white, gray misting, silver paint scrapes, not to exceed what is seen on screen. Now the Kashyyyk Trooper has these boot caps on their boots, armor painted up camo style, just like what's seen on screen, tan base, brown and green camo patches, maybe lightly weathered. On the sides, we got these two black rings here and here. Level 2 requirement, same paint scheme as the rest, Krylon tan, Panzer olive green, flat earth brown, black, white, gray misting, silver or chrome paint scrapes. For level 2, we want these black rings here to measure 1 inch in diameter. And then underneath the boot cap, we've got the boots. We have a tan or beige kind of base. They are similar to beige desert military boots. They have this curve here in the arch of the boot. The soles are khaki or tan, and they may be lightly weathered. For level 2 certification, we want these cuts here in the sole, here, and here, and in the heel, these cuts here and here, here and here. And that is it for the main CRL requirements for the Kashyyyk. Now we're gonna move on to some optional accessories. Now for optional accessories, the Kashyyyk Trooper has 2 blasters listed. We have the DC-15A and the DC-15S. Right here is a DC-15S. Requirements for both are found on our CRL. So the requirements for the DC-15S, realistic clone style. The blaster can be scratch built out of plastic, wood, metal, or it can be cast in resin. The blaster has realistic episode 2 or episode 3 details. Wireframe sight, folding stock, 12 radiator fins evenly spaced along the length of barrel, igniter detail knobs, charge magazine clip, on the right side. The total length of this thing is about 26 inches or 66 centimeters. And we do not accept the Hasbro version of this blaster because it's a different scale than the ones that are seen on screen. For level 2, we asked that this detail on the magazine clip is gunmetal gray. For level 2, we asked that these details are also gunmetal gray. The igniter knob has some copper coloring, and the blaster is weathered. Now, the clone detachment has a level 3 where they have lights as a requirement. We don't have level 3 in the Pathfinders. We only go up to level 2. So if you want to put the LED in your blaster, that is just an optional requirement for level 2. So those are the requirements for the Kashyyyk Trooper. And now, to demonstrate a suit-up of this armor, the one, the only, CB12579 Kashyyyk Detachment Costume Advisor, Jake Putnam. And that is all for the Kashyyyk Trooper. If you are interested in this costume or any other of our Pathfinders costumes, please come to the forum at 501stpathfinders.com. Now let's get those buckets on. And moving on down, we've got the knee armor. This isn't the Mandalorian Kashyyyk. All right, sorry, let's start over. Am I? Okay, just making sure. All right. All right, shh. Justin's getting mad.